Hey, what's up? Kevin here, host of Grit, Grace, and Inspiration. Before you dive into today's episode, I'm curious. Do you ever feel like life is just a little bit too difficult? It's nights where you can't sleep. It's days that you just don't feel good. And sometimes you just wish there could be something to help you out. Well, if that's you, you might want to check out today's sponsor, and that's Naked Warrior Recovery, offering the highest quality CBD products on the market. Be sure to check out today's show notes, where you can grab an exclusive discount offered only to the listeners of Grit, Grace, and Inspiration.
Those moments were so impactful for me because I was like, wow, here's two people that live in totally different cultures, speak totally different languages, and yet here we are communicating over shrimp scampi and like laughing and having a great time.
Welcome to Grit, Grace, and Inspiration. I'm your host, Kevin Lowe, and I'm excited to welcome you inside. This is the kind of place where your glass will never be anything other than half full, because we choose to focus on the positive side of life. Now, this doesn't mean that we shy away from the real talk. No, not a chance. Matter of fact, we explore all aspects of life, from the good, the bad, and the ugly. But all of that is done with one purpose: to inspire you to never give up on life, even when it may seem like life has given up on you. Now, I get it. Life is hard, but starting today, you've got grit, grace, and inspiration. What's going on? And welcome back to the podcast. My name is Kevin Lowe, your host, and you are joining me today for what is episode 137. Hopefully you're doing amazing. If not, I'm sorry, but don't worry, because today is going to boost you up. Because today I am hanging out with somebody who honestly brings me to a higher level of excitement for life. A lot of people consider me somebody full of energy and excitement about life, always smiling, laughing, having a good time. But then I meet people like Heather Hamel, and I am reminded that, whoa, baby, there are some other people who got some life about them too. Because Heather is incredible. She's one of those people who, as you hear her talk, you can't help but smile just at her energy, at her enthusiasm for life. And that's why me and Heather hit it off amazingly well. So Heather is here today because Heather is actually an interior designer with Heather Hamel Design. Now, what brought her to become a designer and the type of interior designing that she does is why she's here on the podcast. Because as like most of us, where Heather is today is not where she thought she would be. Matter of fact, Heather was living the quote unquote perfect life. She was married, had the job she had been working for. Everything was right. So then why in the world does she find herself waking up in the middle of the night, eyes wide open, and wondering, what in the world am I doing? Who am I? What life is this? This isn't me. I've got to get out. And that's when Heather changed directions in life. You're going to get to hear that, plus all the other amazing things with Heather, including how she can help you transform your space into something that's going to have you so excited every time you walk in the door. Because, well, it might just remind you of a vacation. Currently here on the podcast, here for fall of 2022, I am running a special for all of my coaching services. Yes, indeed, when not here on the podcast, I work as a life and business coach. And so I thought, you know what? If Walmart can do it, so can I. So I went ahead and offered some holiday specials on all of my coaching services, offering them at an exclusive 50% discount. Woo, baby. And there's no need to even stand in line or do any of that online shopping. All you have to do, if you're interested to learn more, is send me an email. podcast at lowdownmedia.com. That is podcast at LOWEDOWN media.com. Podcast at lowdownmedia.com. Let me know that you're interested in the holiday special for my coaching services, and I can give you more information. And hey, maybe we can start working together, or maybe you're getting it for somebody else as a gift. Whoo, baby. I wish I was the person getting that kind of gift. Anyways, before we dive into the show today, I do have to remind you that we are still working with our amazing sponsor, Naked Warrior Recovery. They are offering you, a listener of this podcast, an exclusive 20% discount when you go shopping for any of their incredible CBD products. All you have to do is enter promo code LOW at checkout. That's LOWE, all capital letters, which will snag you an extra 20% off. Like I said, they are an incredible company with an incredible mission, and they're helping you to benefit both your physical and mental health. Check out today's show notes where you can find a link and additional information, so don't feel like you had to write any of that down. With that said, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the woman of the hour, Heather Hamel.
I'm not really designing spaces for other people. My job is really to help bring people's lives into their homes. And so a lot of it is really just helping them sort out what they love and what their design eye is and what they see as beauty. So I wasn't really getting the creative outlet that I was searching for. And then I had a friend who was like, hey, I have this old shed and I want to make it into a little Airbnb. Like, go for it. And I was like, okay. And I started down my, sort of questionnaire of like, this is an interior design client. Like, what are you looking? Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no. Like, here's your money. Go. I literally don't care. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just felt this immediate ignition, this lighting of this creative outlet that I was so desperately needing. And I was like, wow, like people, not that they don't care about their Airbnb designs, but it's not as personal for them. Yes. And so I can take what the space is telling me, and I can take what I think would work in the space and what these people's ideal guest is, and sort of bring that all together and use my own creative design mind to pull a space together. So it's really giving me sort of my own freedom, which I love. And it's sparked this whole fire inside me, which is awesome.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love it.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely phenomenal. So now let's go ahead and rewind time a little bit in your life. And because I'm curious to understand how this all even came about, getting into design. And I know, as I mentioned, travel is a big part of your story. So take me back to a time in your life when you feel would kind of be the best part for us to kind of start with, to start just unpacking your journey.
Totally. So, that's a great question. As far as traveling, I was really lucky enough. Actually, I'm going to rewind. I am a Gemini, and I am very much a curious person in lots of different aspects of the world. And when I'm going to take you back to middle school. Okay. I was in middle school, and I was in a public school where there was, 29 kids in the class, and sweet little old me was in the back, just like laughing and drawing hearts on my notebook and like totally distracted. And like, I was the girl that was like, ooh, squirrel outside. I need to go outside and see where that went because it's probably somewhere cool. And like zero interest in academia at that time. And so I made a really big decision to go to a private school for high school. And because I was like, I can feel myself heading down a not so great path. Like I was going to be my free spirited self. And at the time that wasn't heading in a good direction. So I was like, okay, I'm going to like zip this up a little bit and just send myself to private school. So I went to private school where there was, 7 kids in a class, and I literally had to sit down and pay attention or somebody was going to notice.
Yes.
And that opened up a lot of doors for me. I still wasn't a great student, but I like being my C average, I always say is like my proudest moment, because I coasted through on that.
Yes.
And I was able to really live a full life outside of it. And that was what initially started my traveling journeys. I got an opportunity to go to Egypt with my school, which at the time, Egypt wasn't as hostile as it has become. And I was like, yeah, heck yeah. Like, I'm going to Egypt. Woohoo. And my parents were both like, oh my God, you're doing what? What do you mean? You're going where? Like, neither of my parents my whole family actually have never left the state. Like, they still live in their hometowns. Neither of them had passports. And so, and that extends back to my extended family too. And so it was like this sort of like, I don't know, free-spirited, really weird, strange thing that I was doing. But I was like, no, I'm going to go. And that from that trip, it just sparked this sort of huge curiosity for the world, where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm very privileged and I live in a very nice area, and there is so much more to this world that I need to see and that I want to learn about. And so that is what sparked my traveling love.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So I have to go back a little bit to something you said. So talking about being in middle school and deciding to switch over to private school, was that a decision you came up with, or your parents were like, Heather, we think you would be better in private school?
No, it was a decision I made. I was a bit of a flight risk to put it in layman's terms. And, my mom, I felt some pressure from my mom and from my teachers to sort of, be better at school, apply yourself. And I was just like, okay, well, maybe I'm just not in the right school. Maybe these aren't the right people. I don't know. Maybe I can't. I don't know. Maybe I'm not motivated. I didn't know what it was, but I knew that I had this other option to go to private school. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just pick up and leave and try it out.
Yeah. Well, I just have to say, as a thinking of in the mind of when we were in middle school,
Yeah.
I have to just say though, it really kind of says a lot for you. And even though, you describe yourself as this girl whose mind isn't in school, you're doodling, you're thinking of anything other than what you're in school for. But at the same point, you have this idea of your life and realizing, okay, maybe I got to make some changes.
Yeah. I don't think I realized that in the moment. I thought that I was fleeing. I thought that I was being the cool person, being like, hey, bye guys, like have fun.
Yeah. And meanwhile, you had no idea that private school had way better field trips, apparently.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh wow, Egypt, I'm in.
Yeah. So talking about Egypt, so talk to me more about that experience. And, you kind of referenced it a little bit about seeing, kind of how privileged we are, here we're, living in the United States, but talk to me a little bit more about Egypt, because that is by far a bucket list destination for many of us. So talk to me a little bit more about that trip. I'm just curious to know more about it and its kind of impact on you.
Yeah. I was like most sixth graders, I did the cool report on the Sphinx, like, and how it was built, or like how they think it was built. And so I was really obsessed with the Sphinx in specific, not sure why. And then I got there and it was honestly a total culture shock. Like, I had never left. That's not true. I had been to like Florida, and like I had never left the United States, and I had never seen that culture anywhere. And so I was just, I sort of felt backed into a corner where I was just like, holy smokes, like I just need to sit down here for a second and sort of figure out what's going on in front of me. And I think that if I were to go back now, I would appreciate the history that's there versus when I went when I was 15, I was like, whoa, like this guy's touching my hair because it's blonde. Like people would just, especially men, came up to me and they were just touching my hair. And they were like, and I was like, wait, first of all, you can't just come up and touch me. And second of all, like, this isn't that cool in America. Like, I'm a blonde girl. Like, it's not that cool. But when you're in the Middle East, like, most people don't have blonde hair and blue eyes and white skin. Like, so I was sort of an anomaly there. And I was with another girl who was also blonde hair and blue eyes. It happened to be, and our teacher, who was also a white guy. But at one point, I remember being in a market and somebody literally offered my teacher 112 camels to buy me. Like, this is dead serious.
Oh, wow.
Like, no, like, he was not joking. And my teacher was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what? What?
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand what was going on, but now I understand that, you know, that's part of their culture and how they sort of, that's how they, I don't know, romanticize, I guess I don't know if that's the right word, but it was culturally shocking for me. And, you know, there was guys on every corner with big AK-40s. You know, you'd walk down the street and everybody had giant machine guns and you're like, wow, okay, we're here. And then, you know, driving out, I remember very distinctly driving out to the pyramids and seeing little kids, you know, in basically rags running around without shoes on with flies on them and just being like, oh my gosh, like this is like somebody needs to help them. And then having the realization of being like, no, like these people are happy and they're living their life. And I don't know that they would want it any other way. And that to me was what made me realize the privilege that I have here. Cause I was like, gosh, like I have running water, I have shoes, I have clothes, like I have it so good and at the very base of my existence. And I think that was what you know, the pyramids were really freaking cool and the Sphinx was amazing. And like all of like King Tut's tomb, all of that stuff was amazing. But when I was 15, I was just like, holy smokes, this is not America. And I am a tiny little speck in a giant world that nobody knows. Nobody, like I am basic.
Yes. No. I totally get it. It's the human connection. You know, it's that is just so powerful. So now what I'm curious about is what then about that trip, realizing, wow, like in America, like I've really got it pretty darn good.
Yeah.
What about that trip kind of gave you, I'm assuming, this travel bug though, to want to travel more?
I think it was the inspiration to learn. Like that was so shocking to me that I was like, wow, this is one end of the spectrum and I'm at another end of the spectrum. Like, what is there in between and what can I take from that into my life and my, you know, my being?
Yes.
And I think that, you know, that privilege that I acknowledged there of like having shoes and clothes and water, and it gave me a really deep appreciation for this life that I have and this world that we live in. And I was like, okay, what else can I do? What else can I take in? Like, give me all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So come back, you're 15 years old. You come back from this incredible trip to Egypt. Obviously you're still in school and stuff, but what kind of happens with life there?
Nothing changes. I came back and I was just like, okay, I went to Egypt. That was cool. Yes. And then, you know, like honestly, nothing changed. Like I mean, now I have done a lot of hard work to realize what that trip has done for me. But at the time I was like, you know what? I am a 15-year-old girl. I'm going to go back to what I was doing. And I am now just a 15-year-old girl who went to Egypt, which is pretty cool.
Yes. Now it's back to doodling and jelly pins and what
all of those things. I was in high school. My sort of, you know, I knew that academia wasn't for me. It just never has clicked for me. But I was an athlete. I was a 3-sport varsity athlete. So in high school, I was able to, like I said, coast through school enough that I could play sports really well. And then that sort of elevated me in a different path, which was great because I'm like a very kinesthetic. I'm very in my body. And so I was like, great, I can be an athlete and then somebody else can worry about algebra. This works for me.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So after high school, did you go to college?
Yes. So I went to Emmanuel College in Boston and I went there because I got a scholarship to play softball there.
Okay.
And, you know, I don't maybe my C average got me in. I don't think so though. But honestly, it was the same in college. Like I sort of coasted through and I, was an athlete and I did my thing. And my teachers when I was young always said I was a social butterfly. And so I sort of lived up to that in college. And then I think the next big thing for me was I decided my junior year that I was going to study abroad. And so I decided I wanted to go to London and I went for 6 months. So it took up semester and part of the summer. I guess it was like 5 months and part of the summer. And that was really the first time where I was like, okay, I'm an adult. I'm going to be over there by myself, making my own decisions and, sort of leading my own expedition through Europe. And that's what I did. I backpacked through. I went to like 6 or 7 different countries while I was over there, and I hitchhiked and I jumped off dams, and I was like, okay, I'm living this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, how crazy is that though? We're talking about a girl who comes from a family of generations that never really left the town.
Yep.
And so did your family think, oh my gosh, Heather is just lost it?
That's exactly what they thought. I think when was it? I think it was like 4 years ago was the first time that me and my dad sat down and we were just like joking or something. He was like, I'm just kind of used to it now. I'm used to you just being like, hey, I'm going to go away for whatever. And just being like, okay, bye.
Bye.
Because when the first time I went to Egypt, they were like, okay, we should get our passports in case something happens. Like, give me the name of everywhere you're going to be. And then when I was in London, they were like, okay, what's your itinerary? Where are you going? And now it's just like, okay, bye.
Bye.
If I hear from you in a couple weeks, I'll be excited.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah. So like, how long did you end up doing that? The whole living abroad like that?
I was in London. Well, so I had my home base, I was technically studying abroad, but as I'm sure you have learned, I was mostly just social butterflying and exploring.
Yes.
So I had my home base in London. I went to a college called Regent's College, and it was beautiful. And I actually loved it. I made a lot of good friends there. But then from there, it's so easy to travel around Europe. So I was able to sort of bounce around literally wherever I wanted to go. I went to Ireland by myself. I went to Scotland by myself. I traveled with a friend. I actually flew to Switzerland and then traveled by train with a friend through Switzerland and Italy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was so amazing. And I took French all through high school and college, and I was able to put a little bit to the test. And I was like, oh,
yes,
I can kind of hold my own here.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Now, so the experience, obviously Europe, far different than Egypt.
Yes.
But would you say that it equally impactful on your life moving forward?
For sure. I think that in a very different way. I never really had to experience that cultural. That's not true. I mean, it's just in a different way. I think that I went to a few places where I didn't know the language at all. And I was in a place that wasn't touristy, so they didn't know my language. And that was one of those, like you were talking about, like coming back to the core of, human beings and like communication. And it was, those moments were so impactful for me because I was like, wow, here's 2 people that live in totally different cultures, speak totally different languages. And yet here we are communicating over shrimp scampi and like laughing and having a great time. Neither of us knows what it, and it was just sort of this, like the world is so much bigger than me. And like, I was just, it was inspired, but in a very different way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. It kind of comes back to the human connection.
Yes.
And I love that so much. Wow. So I mean, it sounds like, obviously life, when we're in the midst of it, we, obviously there's good days or bad days, but I would, assume it's safe to say at this point in your life's really going pretty good. So that's still college though. So what happens after college?
Well, so then that's when it starts to get exciting. That's when, I don't know if exciting is the right word, but that's when my life sort of took a turn. I And just, I didn't realize all of this until the last like 4 years. So this is all like through a lot of therapy I have gotten here. But, after I went to college, like I sort of said, my family, they were people who had careers. Everybody in my
Yes.
extended, they went to school. None of them went to college. Some of them took college courses, but I was really the first one to go to college and graduate with a degree. And when I graduated, it was like, okay, now what? Like, what's my career going to be? Like, I was looking for that box to check off because that's what my mom did. That's what my dad did, my grandparents. And it was like, what is it? And so I spent a lot of years, not a lot, I spent 2 or 3 years really floundering and sort of like, I did like solar sales and I worked at a psych ward in a hospital. And like, I was just all over the place trying to find my thing and obviously didn't find it. But I was checking off all the boxes. It was like, okay, I applied to a job. Here's my career. And then I ended up meeting a man and it was like, okay, we bought a house. And I was like, my American dream is coming true. And at some point in there, I decided I was going to go back to school, which is a strange choice for me. But I ended up going back to school and it was really weird because I graduated summa cum laude with a 4.0 GPA. And I was like, wait a second,
What?
is this the same person? Like, what's happening? But I was really passionate about what I was doing. And I got a degree in early education. And I was like, great, I'm going to be a kindergarten teacher. And this is my life's work. This is my path. And so, again, I was checking off all the boxes. I was getting married. I had this job now. I was teaching first grade. We had a house. We had all of the things lined up. And I was like, this is it. I have made it. Here I am. And everybody was proud of me. I was doing all the right things. And then I am not kidding. I woke up one morning after being married for about 9 months in this new house with a job teaching. And I was like, holy shit, this is not my life. Something has happened somewhere and I am not living a life that's mine at all. And I sat down and I had a really hard conversation with my husband. And I was like, look, I don't think I'm supposed to be married to you. I don't think I'm supposed to be I was just like so baffled and I'm getting a little emotional, but I was just so sure in that moment that this was not my life. And I don't know how I got there. And then it was like, and then it was just a whirlwind of things that sort of happened all at once. And I realized that I had made a lot of decisions that weren't really aligned with who I am as a human. And it sort of landed me in that position. And, the funniest thing that sort of led me on to this is I've been doing CrossFit for like 10 years and the athleticism has sort of carried on. And I was working out and I had really, really terrible low back pain. Like I couldn't get off the couch and I couldn't walk in a stand-up line. And I was like, gosh, what is happening? And, I went to go see all of the right people. I went to see the physical therapist and a chiropractor and a massage therapist and all of these people. Nothing was working. It would come and go. And the day that I told my husband that I was leaving, I have not had back pain since. And I was like,
wow.
I was like, whoa, this is a serious wake up call.
Wow. So
yeah.
Heather, you've got to take me back a little bit because I'm sitting here thinking of the perspective of your husband.
Yep.
Because you guys were married, correct?
Yes.
9 months.
Ish. Yeah.
And so what though, talk to me though, because I get this idea because I think a lot of us have this idea at some point of what am I doing in life?
Yeah.
Where am I going? What am I doing? But we're talking about a whole nother scenario when we're talking about I don't even know if this person I'm with that I've just recently been married to, if he's who I'm even supposed to be married to.
Yep.
Talk to me about what that was like for you to realize that it was more than just kind of a self freaking out moment.
Yeah. It was really, really hard. And for a few years, I held a lot of shame around the whole thing. And I questioned everything about myself and the choices that I had made. And it just left me feeling like completely out of control and not like functional. I was just like, what am I like? Am I making the right decision? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, I already made all of these bad decisions that weren't for me. And like, maybe I'm just doing it again. Like, whatever. But like, I just didn't.
Yes.
I was questioning myself. And then I felt a lot of shame for what I was putting him through and what I had put my family through and what I had put everybody that had supported us in our wedding through. And it was just like this overwhelming amount of guilt and shame and just uncertainty. But there was something so pure about my intention. It was not my intention about knowing, like, I just knew at my deepest self that like, this wasn't right. Like, I didn't know why. Well, now I'm very, very aware of it.
Yes.
And again, I have, one of the first things I did was hire a therapist. I was like, okay, I need help. Get me out of this. I need help. When I first went with her, I had only had the conversation with him. Like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I don't think this is right. And so when I met with my therapist for the first time, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about leaving my husband. Like, here's this idea I have. And she was like, whoa, okay. Like, that's a big deal. Let's talk about it. And so that would talking it out in therapy and working through my core beliefs and wants and desires and loves was really what ended us getting into a place where it was like, okay, it's time for us to get a divorce.
Yeah.
This is what we both want. And at the time, like, he was totally heartbroken. And now, we're 5 years later and he's like, yeah, I get it now.
Yeah.
Like, that made sense. And we're friends now. We're very friendly and it's great.
Heather, what I'm sitting here thinking when you're talking about this, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I almost look at this more like, not that you woke up in this like freaking out, what am I doing? But almost finally snapped out of a freaking out moment that lasted for a while.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, you were living this life that was different than who you always had been.
Yeah.
Even as far as, going back to school and doing amazing in school and now living this, quote unquote, like perfect life. In fact, that was really kind of the, freak out zone. And then almost you woke up and you snapped back to reality.
That's an interesting, I've never looked at it that way, but that's an interesting, yeah. I mean, that's certainly how, I was living a life that I was supposed to be living, right? That comes to that whole supposed to. Yep. All of the things I was supposed to be doing were there.
Yes.
And I had them all. And then it was like, well, why am I not happy? I have all of these things. Why am I not fulfilled? I have all these things that I'm supposed to have. And that my parents, and it's like, oh gosh. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you rebound from that?
Oh gosh. Well, that is, that the last 4 years have really been 5 years have really, I feel like is where my life has started, which obviously isn't true because I've had a lot of experiences before the last 5 years that have gotten me here. But the last 5 years have been really the first time where I was like, okay, I am in control of my life. I am making choices that I want to make. I am doing what I want to do. And this is my life. And anything that doesn't align with this, including people and family and, jobs and choices, like, I'm all set. And leading with myself first has helped me rebound it. And, so immediately after my divorce, I got an apartment by myself, which was the first time I had really ever lived by myself. And I was like, this is great. And that, that was sort of the beginning of my design interest. I was like, oh, wow, I have this whole apartment and nobody to tell me what to do or where to put anything or what I have to put up. I was like, I'm going to make this so cute. And I am so excited about it. And then I ended up meeting a new man who has shined a light on parts of me that good and bad that I didn't even know existed. And it has been overwhelmingly joyful, but also like such a huge growth. Like I can't even put into words the amount of growth I've had in the last 5 years, both in myself and in our relationship. And, somebody told me once after I got divorced, like, the thing you have to realize about relationships is they're just a mirror of yourself. So if you can find somebody who mirrors back to you in a loving way where you can grow, that's the key. And it was always like, what do you mean? Like, I don't get that. I don't understand. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And now I'm in this super loving and conscious relationship where I'm like, oh, like just was this last night or something? We were having a conversation.
Yes.
He just looks at me and he's like, do you hear this part of you right now? And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, I see this part of you and I love this part of you, but do you hear this part of you? And I was like, oh. And I just had this moment of like, wow, yeah, okay, let's reel this back in. So, all of those things sort of layered on top of each other, this amazing relationship, this leading with self, and sort of this support system that I've built around me has helped me rebound into a life that I have created.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Curious, during these past 4 or 5 years, this kind of rebound has travel played any impact in that journey?
Oh yes. So my ex-husband was not, I don't want to say he wasn't a fan of me traveling. He just didn't understand why I didn't want to travel with him. He was like, what do you mean? Like, why don't you want me to come with you? And I was like, no, it's not about that. Like, I want to go see this place and I want to go see this place. So anyway, I didn't travel much when I was with him, other than the occasional, like going to the Caribbean and to like an all-inclusive resort and like not really experiencing much of the land. And so the first thing I did when we separated was I booked a trip to Bali for 6 weeks. And I was like, you know what? I'm out. Like, I know what I need to be doing, and I am out of here. And so I went to Bali, and, the teacher part of me was like, hey, I'm a teacher. So I actually volunteered over there for about 4 weeks, and I taught English in an after school program. And I lived in this tiny little village in the north of Bali where it was, all open air. We had mosquito nets. There was no, material amenities that I have here. And I should say we were right on the beach, like literally walking distance to like coral reef snorkeling, which totally took advantage of it. But it was, it was this little village where they burned trash on the side of the road. And like I had my shower literally consisted of a hose that stuck through a hole at the top of the wall. It was like just cold, spout hose water for a shower. And it was like, this is everything that I wanted and that I hoped for and that I needed for my soul.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And my partner now, my boyfriend now, he is all for it. He's like, in fact, I will help you take a trip once a year by yourself wherever you want to go. And we'll take trips together. And like, we're both really into traveling and seeing new things and new places. And so that has fostered my desires too.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. So now moving back kind of full circle in our conversation, did you ever think that you would get into design work? I mean,
never.
Coming back, no,
never,
okay.
never. I was, like I said, my family all have, doing quotation marks, but they all have careers, right? They either started a business where they, that's been their business for the last 50 years, or like my mom is a software engineer, which she's been doing for 30 years. And so it was like, I never really, like, the idea of a creative job was so far from my sight that it never even occurred to me. It was so far out there. And still, I still sort of feel, not from my mom and dad, but from my like extended family, they're like, I kind of get the like, okay, what are you doing now? Like, okay, what's next? And it's like, no. Yeah. Like, I own a business. Like it's a creative business. Yeah. Yes. But I own a business and I'm doing a thing. But they're not like, okay, but
exactly.
But when are you going to get an 8 to 5 job around that? And it's like, no. New age. We're moving on here.
Yes.
But
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
that was a part of me, 6 years ago that would have been like, oh, Nikes. Like, you're right. Like, why don't I have an 8 to 5? What am I doing? Why don't I have an 8 to 5 job? What's happening? Whereas now I'm just like, aha, you're funny. This is my life. You can be in it or not. Like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. What do you feel like contributed to that total change in mindset?
A lot of therapy. A lot of therapy. No, I do. I mean, I do a lot of work outside of therapy too, with like whether it's reading and journaling. And I just started a meditation practice like 2 years ago. And, sort of always coming back to self. They always say in meditation, like if your mind wanders, which of course mine does, goes every which direction. They're always like, okay, bring it back to breath. And I can, at first it was always when I was meditating, I was like, oh, what the heck? I can't do it. Like I just all over the place. And I would get frustrated. And it's just been the last few years that I've been like, wait, but that's life too. Like that, you always, for me at least, is like, as long as I'm always coming back to center, if I get a little off track, like if I'm like, oh, what's that over there? Or, oh shit, this just happened. Or, oh my God, this awful thing is happening. As long as I can sort of like, not block that all out, but just push that out a little bit and come back to center and myself and what I actually think about the situation and where I actually stand on something, then I can continue moving forward. It's not like it's not that I don't ever slip into old ways, but I'm always like, okay, hold on a second. Space. Where am I? What am I doing? And then I'm able to sort of realign myself.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. This conversation between us, it's like the self-discovery of Heather Hamel.
For sure. Oh, yeah. I have been on this journey for a while, so I'm excited for you to be with me.
That's awesome. So now talk to me about, the entrepreneurial journey in the design business, because it isn't the normal 8 to 5. It's not the security of a job that we know that is there. You're punching a time clock.
Yeah.
It is entrepreneurship. Talk to me about how that journey has been, what you've learned, what that has taught you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank goodness it's not an 8 to 5 job, because that for me now, I know that would be stifling for me. But, I was like I said, I was a CrossFit coach for a really long time. I got a big fancy job in Boston. I was coaching some of the best CrossFit athletes in the world. And the first November of COVID, so that I think that's 2021. I don't know. My dates are the last 2 years have just been sort of a blur. Exactly. I think it was 2021 in November. Yes. I was laid off and I was living in Boston and I was like, okay, now what do I do? Like I had followed this path for so long, and that was sort of my end goal. Like that job was sort of my end goal. It was like, okay, this is it. And then I was like, okay, now I got to figure something else out to do. And, design for me had always just been something that I did. Like no matter where I lived or who I was living with, like my spaces were always beautiful. And it was always kind of the space that people walked into and they're like, oh my gosh, Heather, this is amazing. Like, what is happening here? I was like, I don't know. I just threw it all together. Like I liked that chair and I liked that couch. Like it just all worked. And when I was laid off, I had some money saved up and I was like, it was in the middle of COVID and they were giving everybody a bunch of money. And I was like, this is great. I'll go on unemployment. I'll get a bunch of money. I'll hang out for a few months and I'll figure my life out. And I signed up for a class through the New York Institute of Art and Design on interior design. And I started like going through the class and I was like, I should teach this class. Like, I was like, wait a second, I know more. Wait, what? Like, I was just going through it and being like, I actually know more than this class is teaching me right now. And I'm not sure this is very helpful. So then I was like, okay, well, what else could I do? And my boyfriend, Ashley, was like, well, why don't you reach out to other interior designers and like, just see if you can intern for them or volunteer your time just to learn if it's something that you even like doing in the form of a, business and working. And I was like, great idea.
Yes.
So I reached out to a local designer that's we moved back to Western Mass, reached out to a local designer in the area. And I said, hey, like, I want to volunteer my time. You don't have to pay me. I'm just trying to figure out like if this is something I really like. And I'd love to learn from you and help you and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, we connected and we just immediately loved each other. And we're like, okay, let's do this. And so that quickly turned into like, okay, you're going to work part-time for me. Okay, you're going to work as an assistant. Okay, now you're an associate designer. And this is all over the course of like 7 months or something. And then this is last summer, this is a year ago now, she was like, actually, I'm firing you and you need to do this. And I was like, what do you mean? Like I have, everything is here. What are you talking about? I was devastated in a very new way because I was like, wow, this is what? Like, I love what I'm doing. And I know that I'm supposed to be here. And what do you mean? And she was like, look, Heather, like you have an incredible eye. You have the design brain. You just need to go start your own business. And I was like, okay, here we go. I'm going to do it. And she has helped me, she mentors me a little bit and now we have lunch and she has been super helpful in my life. And I'm so, so, so grateful to her now. Now at the time I was like, what the hell? And so that was really what sparked me starting a business. And then, the road of entrepreneurship it's an interesting one, because as a single business owner, you have to be the marketer, you have to be the business owner, you have to run all the books, you have to do all the sales, you have to also do the job of design. And it's like, I'm just sort of figuring out how to organize all of that so that I can do all of it, because I was finding that I can do the design work, but then who the heck knows what's happening with my books behind the scenes? Like, I have no idea who paid me or where it came from or if I paid someone. And then it was like, oh yeah, but you also should do some marketing. And it was like, what? There's like all these things that it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this. And that's where the business coach came in. I was like, my therapist was like, hey, like, I am so happy to help you in your life, but like, I am not your business coach and we're here for deeper shit. So go hire one. And I was like, okay, thank you. And thank goodness, because I remember one of the first times I sat down with her and I was like, okay, so here's my fees. Here's everything I charge. And she just looked at me and she was like, nope. And I was like, what do you mean? And so she has set me up. She is setting me straight and it's been super helpful. And so, like I said, I'm just sort of starting to figure out that I have to be the designer and the accountant and the marketer and the salesperson and the sort of face of this and how to organize all of those things and how to lay them out in a way that's doable, with the life that I want to live. Like, as you know, I'm a traveler. So, I have set myself up in such a way that, I only have to work 4 hours a day. And the rest of it, it's like, I can travel, I can go outside and go on a walk. I can work out. I can be with my friends. I can, do whatever it is that lights me up, but I could also have, a 10 or 12 hour day if I need to get stuff done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
It's been a whirlwind.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So now, I'm going to act like I'm a designer, but it's just because I watch the design shows on TV.
It's nothing like that in real life.
But what my question is for somebody who's like, ooh, I love this girl, Heather. I wonder, like, what is her design? Because I know certain designers are contemporary or they're, I don't know, country or whatever. How would you consider like your eye for design?
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you asked that because I do not believe that that's a thing. I take a really different approach to design. So like, I really believe that a person's home should be a reflection of their best self and their biggest dreams. And that doesn't always align with mine. And, I have done designs where I'm like, I actually don't like that. Like that is not my kitchen. I never want it in my house. And I am so happy you love it. But like, so for me, like I really, and I think I said this earlier, but I really I ask a ton of questions. I almost have a whole like interview with my clients before I even start any design work. And the point of it is to find out like what their life is about. Like, do they love to travel? Do they have kids? Do they love dogs? Do they love outside? Like, do they love to read? Like, what is it about them that I can bring into this space and really make it feel like when they get home, they're just like, oh my gosh, this is the freaking best house in the world. And I love all of it. And then I sort of, on top of that, I layer what the house is telling me. I always tell my clients the house speaks to me, which is like a weird, crazy thing. But like what I put in, you know, a contemporary 2,900 square foot house in, you know, a suburb is very, very different than what I'm going to put in an 1,100 little ranch in the middle of the woods. Like those two houses for me have very different wishes for themselves, which sounds, again, crazy, but it's like, here's what this person, here's what I can pull from these people living in this space. Here's what the house is telling me. And then my job, or how I envision my job to be, at least, is using my design brain to pull that all together so that it's a cohesive and beautiful and functional design. Like I really want to put people's spaces to work for them versus the other way around. So I am not someone like, if like, do not call me if you're looking for a country modern farmhouse. Like I am not your girl. But as far as like my personal style, I am very, I mean, I'm sure as you can tell, I am very like bohemian, earthy, super neutral. Like I like light and airy and breezy, and my house is like very open and very bright, and I have a ton of plants everywhere, and that's me.
I love it.
But I very rarely get to bring that into my clients' homes unless it's an Airbnb. Then people are like, I don't actually care, and I'm like, okay, we're going crazy.
Okay. Oh my goodness, I love it. Do you find that your mind, when you're designing a space and you're working with somebody, do you find that your mind goes back to elements that you've experienced while traveling?
Yes. And that is where, and that is a big part of where the Airbnb, well, you know, it's short-term rentals everywhere. It's not just Airbnbs, but short-term vacation rentals has sort of become a huge passion of mine, because I have stayed in probably over 50 Airbnbs or some sort of short-term rental at this point. And I always especially now, I always walk into a space, I'm like, God, this place could use this, and this place could use this. And if they just did this, it would be so much better. And if this happened, it would be so much better. And I was like, gosh, like I can bring all of this to people, whether they're in Bali or, you know, Maine or probably Egypt. I could bring something awesome there. Like I think that traveling has given me a really interesting perspective to sort of, you know, that aspect we were talking about what a home says to me and what it's calling for and what is required of a home for someone who is, you know, just visiting. Because it's a very different thing than building a home for someone who's, you know, lives in it full time.
Absolutely.
And I also,
I love it.
I also think that, you know, for the interior design clients that I do have that are living in their homes, like I always see stuff when I'm traveling and we're like, oh my gosh, this light would work perfect in this person's house. Like I need to text them. I was just in Paris like a month ago, and I'm working on a house, and we've been searching for a light. And that's just what reminded me of it. I was in this tiny little market in like the middle of nowhere in Paris. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the light. This is it. I need this light. I was like, will you send this to Massachusetts? And they were like, we can try to fix it. I was like, yes, all of it. Yes.
Yes.
So I always am finding inspiration everywhere.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I love it. And you know what that tells me? When you feel like you finally found the fit.
Yes.
You know, when you kind of talked about your relationship and you find that fit, the mirror, and you find that now with this career where you've combined a passion of traveling with now a career, and it all just blends together where it's completely seamless. It's not like you're trying to fit it together. No, it fits together, you know?
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Now, for somebody interested, do you work with people all over with technology, with virtual, being able to use cameras and video, or is it only people in your area that you work
No,
with?
yeah, I'm all over the place. So especially with Airbnb stuff, like I will come out to you wherever you are and basically set up camp for however long the project's going to take and finish the
Okay.
project, get it done. And that's some people, they need me to come out and they're just like, hey, like, I just need to make sure the furniture layout is right. And I need a couple of new decor things and I need to, hide the wires behind the TV, whatever it is. So some projects are like a week long. And then I just had one where they were like, I actually hate all of this and I need to rip out the walls and I need you to redo it. And I'm like, okay, great. And, so that one's
Yeah.
more like 9 months. And so for those ones,
Yes.
there's just a lot of, depending on how far away it is, it's like I'll travel back and forth. And obviously I'm very willing to travel and be out in the world. So part of
Yeah.
the job. But the other thing is I have a couple of sort of quick and easy virtual packages that I do. I don't love working virtually, which is why I sort of set up these little packages where it's just like a one-off. It's like, hey, like give me $1,000 and I'll redesign your whole room for you. And I'm just going to give you everything to put it in place because it's just, it's less of like working with technology and like, let's Zoom. Oh, I didn't reach you and we're in different time zone. It's like, it can be all over the place.
Yes.
And I'm just not really for that. Like, I want to be with you and I want to connect with you.
Yes.
But like, you can buy this $1,000 little thing and take all of this with you and make it beautiful on your own. Here you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I like it. Well, that's what, because I was wondering, I mean, not to be a total just smart ass and you'd be like, this guy's a jerk. Because I started to ask, when doing virtual, do we sit the phone just down in the middle of the living room and let the house talk to you?
I love that question. You just leave me there for like 30 minutes and I'll just take it all in. No. A big part of like what the house, like I'll look up the house on Google Maps. I'll find out where north is. I'll find out the area that it's in. Are there houses around? Are there trees around? Are there fields around? Like, where are you in the world? What is around you? And then it's really important for me, like on our first visit with a virtual client, to see like every inch of the house. So I literally will like FaceTime the client and go on a virtual tour and they'll be like, okay, here's the corner where the water heater is. Like, here's the couch and go around the whole space. And from that, I can get a pretty good idea of what's happening in the space. And then, the other thing that's tricky is like, it's then on the clients too, to give me measurements, which is experience is a little sketchy always. Because they're like, it's like 5.5 feet ish. And you're like, no. Like, what is, they're like, actually it's 7 feet. And you're like, oh gosh. Okay. So it just gets, it's great for stuff like, hey, I just need a new couch and a chair. It's not so great for like, I want to renovate my bathroom. It's like, oh gosh.
Yes. Okay. Of course. Absolutely. So I'm wondering, for the person listening or for like my mom who's listening, who's like, oh my gosh, how can my mom or anybody else get in touch with you or learn more?
Yeah, the best thing is my website. It's just heatherhameldesign.com. And just my contact page, and reach out to me through there. I mean, my phone number isn't there, but I'm one of those people that doesn't actually answer my phone if it's a weird number, which probably isn't the best practice if I owned a business. But, what aligns with me. So email is definitely best. And just reach out to me on my contact page. I am actively, again, probably not a best practice for a business, but I'm actively trying to be on social media less because it just does not align with me or ignite anything joyful in me most of the time. So my social media page is out there, but it's sort of sad. Definitely on my website. And then, I'd love to connect. I usually start with people with just a discovery call, which is just like a 15 to 20 minute phone call that's totally free. And from that, like sort of how we did before the podcast, like you can get a pretty good idea about if you would work well together in that 15 or 20 minutes. And if I can help someone. And so that's usually the best place to start.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Well, Heather, you're amazing. I love what you're doing. I love this this evolution of Heather Hamel, the self-discovery that we've discovered. You're a breath of fresh air. You're just super awesome, super cool. And I just super, super grateful to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much. And I really have to say, I appreciate your questions so much. They were so inspiring and really, really made me dig deep into some of the self-discovery that I've gone through. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what you get when you get interviewed by blind people. We ask better questions.
When you're all about that human connection. I really feel that from you.
Exactly. Oh, well, thank you so much, Heather. And well, thank you. And for you listening today, I want to thank you for tuning in to the episode today, my interview with Heather Hamel, another just absolutely incredible guest. And, if anything from today's interview inspires you, I hope it's this fact of evolving as yourself. I don't care if you're 18 years old or if you're 65 years old. You're still living. You can still evolve. You can still become a bigger, better version of yourself. We never have to stop. So forget about what the timeline of life says we're supposed to be doing or what you're supposed to be settled into. And instead, just follow the life that feels right. Whatever direction that is, take it, live it, and who knows where tomorrow will lead. Hey, real quick before you go, I have one last thought to leave you with. I, of course, hope that you've enjoyed today's episode, but more importantly, I want to remind you that I never want you to listen to an episode of this podcast to hear something that I have to say or that my guest has to share and think, wow, I wish I could be like them. I wish I could overcome my own challenges and do the great things that they are doing, but I just can't. Well, friend, that's where you are wrong. You are capable. You are able. And you darn sure are deserving of having all that you can imagine in this life. There's nothing special about me or any guest I have on this podcast. We are all just normal people trying to make it in this life. And so I encourage you to take a look at yourself in the mirror and remind yourself that, you know what? I can do it too. Now, of course, if you would like help along that way, reach out to me, whether that's as a listener of this podcast, a friend, or if you'd like to work with me as a coach. My contact information is inside of every episode's show notes, just like this one. So go down, check out my contact information, and reach out to me today. With that said, I encourage you to take on the day every day with grit, grace, and inspiration.